Hey there, survivor. If you can hear this, it means you're still alive. This is Jack's Nightmares, and this is your next story. The ceiling tile under my cheek smells like dust and old insulation. I can hear the buzz of a dying light ballast through the metal grid, faint and uneven. Somewhere in the strip mall, a loose door taps in the air current. People used to ignore those sounds. Now I track every single one. I lie on my side on the plank I stole from a bed frame and stare through the narrow cut I made in the ceiling tile. Thin strip of light from the store below. Mattress world, my old workplace. Empty now, except for the display beds and toppled foam. Nobody comes in here anymore. Good, that is why I picked it. My nest runs from the back of the mattress store over the wall and a bit into the corridor and part of the pharmacy space. Not the whole ceiling. Just a slice of it, long enough for me to crawl, turn, and reach the hatch down into the stockroom if I need to. The grid was never meant to hold a person, so I spread my weight across boards and bolted metal bars between hanging brackets. I tested it one square at a time. I know which tiles will crack if I put even a knee on them. I keep my things arranged in the same order every day. Packs of crackers in one corner, bottles of water in another, small battery fan, lantern, the notebook and pencil that matter more to me than anything. I can find each thing in the dark by reaching and counting the gaps between planks. It helps when the power dies again, or when I do not want even a sliver of light to show from above. Outside, the suburb is mostly quiet now. No police sirens anymore. No helicopters. Just the groan of distant engines once in a while. And sometimes gunshots far off, where the highway bends toward the city. Closer to me, there are other sounds that matter more. The slow scrape of echoes bumping into parked cars in the lot. The soft thud when one walks into a signpost and then shifts direction toward the nearest hum. We used to call them infected on the news. Later, some people started saying walkers, or biters, or other words that sounded like movie names. Nobody I met in those first weeks used those words very long. The ones who had to move around them every day gave them short names that fit what they saw. The group that passed through here 3 weeks ago called them echoes. That one stuck in my head. It fits what they are. They go where the noise goes. I heard one of the doctors on the radio early on, before the station cut off for good. He said the virus settles in the ears first and climbs up into the brain. He said it does something to how people process sound, and then everything else goes bad. I did not see that talk, just listened from a janitor's closet while I was cleaning floors. Later, when I watched the first ones in the parking lot, his words made sense. Echoes freeze when a new sound hits them. They turn toward it and line up their bodies along that direction, almost like someone tapped them on one shoulder. They do not rush in straight lines like movie monsters. They drift, stop, turn, drift again. Their mouths move sometimes, repeating little sounds over and over. A word, a bit of a song, a phrase. Things from before the virus. I know what people sound like right before they break. I knew that long before this started. You hear it when you grow up in a house where doors slam for no reason and someone starts yelling over nothing for the 10th time that week. You hear it in shifts, in how plates hit a table, in little dry laughs that have nothing behind them. My stepfather had a way of clearing his throat right before he started in. That sound meant I should get small and quiet and find somewhere dark. So when the world fell apart and the news got strange and people started arguing in store aisles, I did what I always did. I stayed small, quiet, found somewhere high and dark. Everyone else looked for crowds, shelters, camps, lines of cots and big trucks full of supplies. I looked up at the acoustic tiles and thought about how much weight those grids could take if I spread it right. The strip mall sits on the edge of the old suburb. On one side, rows of cheap houses and brown yards. On the other side, the big road that runs toward the city. Before all this, the parking lot never really filled. A few cars for the grocery store at one end, a couple near the nail salon. My boss's sedan parked crooked near the back door of Mattress World. I used to sweep the cracked concrete at night and hate the hum of the lights. Now there are 3 burned cars near the entrance and a delivery truck on its side by the loading dock. The grocery shelves are mostly empty. The nail salon has broken glass and hair dye stains on the floor. The payday loan place has a hole in the front door where someone rammed a pickup early in the panic. The pharmacy still has metal shutters that can drop over the windows. That is the only reason it attracts anyone anymore. When the first people came here after I moved into the ceiling, I did not talk to them. I did not tap. I did not shift a tile. I lay on my planks and listened to their footsteps and their arguments as they picked through the aisles. Some stayed a night. Some did not stay even that long. A few never left at all. The echoes found them when they made too much noise. I watched all of that and wrote it down. Names if I could catch them, clothes, habits, the order of events. How long it took for someone to go from calm to snapping. How many days before a leader started to push too hard. Things like that. Not for a report. Just so it was not only in my head. I wrote it on paper because my phone was just a dead rectangle now, and the little screens in the world did not speak anymore. This morning starts like most of the others. I wake to the faint clink of something metal in the corridor. I hold my breath out of habit. Listen for the pattern. 2 slow steps. Pause. Another step. Light scuff. Not the drag of an echo. Too regular. Too careful. Human. I roll onto my stomach and move along the plank toward the cutout tile near the corridor. Each shift is slow and controlled. Hands and knees always on wood, never on the bare grid. I've already tested every piece of this path. I know where one bracket bent last week and where I wedged an extra strip of metal yesterday. I do not need to look at my hands to know where they go. Through the narrow gap, I can see down into the service corridor. The lights there died days ago, so the only illumination comes from the open door to the grocery store. The sun from the front windows throws a weak band of brightness across the floor. Dust hangs in it. A figure moves through the shade just outside that band. He is tall, wearing a grey hoodie and a backpack. He has a length of pipe in one hand. He moves with careful steps, looking at every side door as he passes. His head tilts a little to one side every time some noise reaches him. The distant squeal of metal from outside. A soft tap of something loose overhead. My plank does not move. If it did, he would hear it. He passes the door to the mattress store stockroom without stopping. That door stays closed most days. On my side of it, behind stacked mattresses, there is a hatch cut into the ceiling where my ladder comes down. I do not mark it. I do not leave any sign. The man pauses near the pharmacy's back door instead. He tests the handle. It is locked. He puts his ear to it and listens, then moves on. I count his steps until he reaches the loading dock doors. There is light bleeding under them. Someone has propped them open a crack upstairs. That is new. My muscles tense a little and I clamp my jaw shut so I do not make any sound. New light means new people. New people mean new noise. Noise brings echoes. Then the sound hits. Not from inside. From the road. Motors. More than one. I hear the rumble of larger engines and the uneven whine of a smaller one straining. Tires crunch on broken glass and gravel. The tall man in the hoodie freezes, then ducks into a shadowed doorway. I pull back from my cutout, crawl along my plank to another slit of space above the mattress store front. Through that gap I can see the lot. A pickup truck with a bent tailgate swings into view first. Behind it, a van with no side windows, paint scraped off along one side. Behind that, a battered SUV. All 3 roll into the lot too fast, brake hard, and swerve around abandoned cars. Echoes in the far corner begin to sway toward the new noise, arms hanging. Doors slam, people pour out. 6, 7, 8. Hard to count with my angle. I see a woman with a bandage around her upper arm. A man in a red flannel shirt. A teenager carrying a plastic crate. They are shouting to each other, using first names, trying to pick a direction. I hear the word pharmacy more than once. I note that. Of course they want that. Everyone does. The man in flannel waves them toward the storefront. Then the first echo reaches the edge of their group. It is a woman in a torn skirt with dried stains down one leg. Her head jerks toward the idling van. She shuffles faster when the driver revs the engine, claws flexing. No one notices her at first. Too many voices, too many doors slamming, boxes scraping out of trunks. I want to call out, just a simple word, behind. That would be enough. My throat tightens like it used to when I stood in front of class, and the teacher told me to read. The sound does not come. The old rule holds. Stay quiet. It is the only reason I made it to this ceiling. I clamp my teeth and write the thought down in my head instead. Echo from north corner. First contact. Group distracted. Time to awareness. Unknown. The teenager sees her first. He shouts something and stumbles back against the SUV. The woman with the bandaged arm spins, then raises a crowbar. The echo reaches for the nearest moving person. There is a fast struggle. Arms, teeth, metal. The woman swings too wide, catches the echo in the jaw. It staggers, turns toward the sound of the impact, then lunges again. The group pulls back toward the strip mall doors in a tight cluster, dragging a heavy backpack and a cooler with them. A second echo bumps into the rear of the van and drifts around it, drawn by the raised voices. Others follow from the far end of the lot, where they had been wandering in a lazy loop around a delivery truck carcass. That is how it always starts. One careless noise, then two, then a dozen soft footsteps converge. The man in flannel shouts a string of orders. This one is used to talking over others. The group responds without argument. Two people grab the cooler and crates and run toward the entry. Flannel and the woman with the crowbar cover them, backing up slowly, keeping eyes on the echoes. The teenager darts sideways and grabs a duffel. They do not try to save everything. That is new. Some groups cling to every bag and lose fingers and faces for no reason. This one drops a box of whatever and leaves it. Smart. They reach the front of the strip mall and crash through the half-open doors, dragging their supplies with them. Echoes bump into the glass and metal frames seconds later and start pouring at the noise behind. Someone inside shouts for silence, which does not help. The tall man in the hoodie appears from the corridor and ducks behind a dead potted plant, watching it all. He does not rush to help, also smart. I roll away from the gap and move back toward the center of my nest. My shoulders brush insulation as I crawl. The ceiling grid creaks once and I freeze, pressing my chest flat against the plank until the noise stops. Below me, I can hear new footsteps thudding across the mattress store floor toward the pharmacy entrance. People run past the row of beds that still display price tags from another life. One of those price tags was the last thing I saw before the power went out on my last normal shift. My rules kept me alive through those first weeks. I repeat them in my head when my thoughts start to drift. 1. Do not be seen. 2. Do not be heard speaking. 3. Do not interfere with groups. 4. Only climb down when supplies force it. 5. Document everything. I add a sixth sometimes, as a joke that is not really a joke. 6. Nobody is coming to fix any of this. Still, when I hear the metal shutters of the pharmacy rattle and slam open from below, I feel a tug toward the nearest vent. Curiosity. That is the part that gets people killed. I know that. I have seen it on faces down there. The need to see what is going on. The need to wave arms and ask questions. I am not like that. I move because I want information. I tell myself that as I slide toward another cut tile and angle my eye to the gap. From here I can see part of the pharmacy interior. Shelves, some bare, some with scattered bottles and boxes. A counter with a lifted section where people used to step through. Behind it, the door to the prescription area. The metal shutters over the front windows are halfway down, casting bars of shadow on the floor. In the middle of the space stands the group from the parking lot. Flannel tosses his backpack against a shelf and starts pacing. The woman with the bandage leans on the counter and presses her good hand to her forehead. The teenager sets the crate down and looks around for a trash bin, then gives up and drops an empty bottle on the floor. Another man, heavier, with a limp, closes the back door and shoves a rolling cart in front of it. "Roll the shutters," Flannel says. "Down, all the way. That moaning is going to drive me crazy. The teenager hesitates, then grabs the chains on the front shutters and yanks. Metal slides with a grinding sound. Outside, the echoes scrape at the steel, drawn to the new vibration. The sound fills the space, echoes off the walls, rings through the ceiling void. I press my teeth together and breathe slow through my nose. Noise like that is bait. The woman with the bandage moves into the open center of the pharmacy and raises her voice. She has that tone that nurses use, firm, tired, used to people ignoring her. "Nobody drops gear without telling me," she says. "If anyone brought back meds, I need them here, not stuffed in bags. If we get sick, we are done." Flannel stops pacing and looks at her with his jaw clenched. "We are not done. We made it here. We got supplies. We got walls. We can make this work." "Walls do not stop the virus," she says. "Show me what we have." She starts taking stock, moving along the crate and cooler, calling out items. Antibiotic ointment, stale crackers, 2 cans of soup, a short stack of water bottles, a half box of bandages that have seen better days. No miracle pile, no full shelves, no hidden basement full of ready-made meals. Just the same scraps everyone else is living on. That makes me relax a little. A pharmacy stuffed with untouched medicine would have been a lie. As they sort, I start writing in my head again. I assign them labels until I can catch the names clearly. Flannel becomes manager, the bandaged nurse is medic, the teenager is kid, the limping man is limp. Another man in a faded security shirt that I missed earlier steps out from a side aisle, and I peg him as guard. He has that way of standing with his hands near his belt, even though there is no radio there anymore. Guard speaks up. "We need rules, right now, before anyone starts trading out of here for themselves. We said we were building something, not a free grab." Manager nods and points at him. "Exactly. This is a post. People come through. We trade meds for food, batteries, fuel. We do not give it away. We are not a charity. We keep enough for us first." Medic glances at manager with a flat look. "If someone walks in here with a fever and a cough, I am not going to make him pay with his last can of beans before I give him something," she says. "We can set guidelines, but I am not turning this into a shop from the old days." I watch the tension in their shoulders. Manager's jaw muscle flexes as he looks away from her. Guard shifts his weight and scans the room, counting doors. Limp crouches by their cooler and starts rearranging the few cans they have into neat rows that will never stay neat. Kid picks up a pill bottle and shakes it, listening to the rattle as if that sound could tell him more than the label. I stay silent into the insulation and let their words wash over me. A trade post. That will change the pattern here. Right now, the strip mall is just a stop on the way to somewhere else. A place people pass through. If these ones stay, the mall becomes a point of gravity. Others will come here on purpose. That means more footsteps, more arguments, more noise. I should leave maybe, find another ceiling in another building. Move before the pattern shifts too far. I do not move. The pencil waits next to the notebook by my elbow. I reach for it slowly and open to a blank page. At the top, I write the date as close as I can guess it. Then, pharmacy group arrival, 8 people, roles unclear. I scratch out the 8 and replace it with 7. I only saw 7 for sure. I do not want to lie, even in my own notes. Below that, I write the labels. Manager, medic, kid, limp, guard, 2 others. I leave space to fill their details in. They argue for a while about whether to open the shutters even a little to let more light in. Guard wants them down all the way. Medic wants to see outside. Manager wants control of the front door in his own hands. In the end, they leave a sliver at the bottom, just enough to slide a box through. Guard pushes a shelf into place as a partial barrier. The noise at the front dies down after a time. Echoes lose interest once motors stop and voices drop. They drift away toward other sounds. A distant car alarm. Wind rattling something loose. A generator far off that someone still runs, even though every broadcast voice told people to shut those off weeks ago. The virus loves generators. It follows them like a dog follows the sound of a can opener. For the rest of that day, I tracked the group's movements from above. I learned the other two names through fragments of conversation. The woman with the bandage is Hannah. Medic. The manager is Luis. The security shirt man is Carter. Guard. Limp is Devon. And Kid answers to Mara. The seventh is a quiet man with a beard who came in last and said almost nothing. He spends most of the time checking his pack against the wall and staring at the floor. I catch his name once when Hannah calls him for help with a box. Evan. They clean the pharmacy first, sweep broken glass into piles, push knocked over shelves back into place. They do not waste time trying to make it pretty, just functional. Hannah checks every bottle and box in the back room and tosses expired liquids. Each toss makes a small thud in the trash bin. My mind counts them without asking. 50, 60, 70. There is a strange comfort in the steady rhythm. The virus did not respect the printed dates. It took people with full medicine cabinets, with good insurance, with brand new pill organizers. By late afternoon, they pick a sleeping arrangement. 2 in the back room near the medicine safe, 2 between the shelves, 1 near the front shutter, 2 in the narrow office. No single person alone. That tells me they are not complete idiots. People who sleep alone in this world do not always wake up where they lay down. The first visitor comes that same evening. A knock on the front shutter. 3 soft taps. Pause. 3 more. Someone down there worked out a code in their head, as if a pattern like that means anything now. Guard pulls the shutter up a span and squats to look under it. There is a short exchange. I hear a hoarse voice offer tins of beans in trade for antibiotics. Hannah asks questions about symptoms, exposure, time since first signs. She sounds calm. She asks to see the man's arms and neck. She does not skip checks. I listen more closely when the visitor mentions ringing in his ears. He chalks it up to a loud engine back on the highway. Hannah does not just accept that answer. She asks about sleep, headaches, startle responses, how long since last good night's rest. He admits he has not slept more than snatches in 3 days. Hedged answers. He wants the pills and does not want to admit how far gone he might be. In the end, she gives him a small bottle of anti-inflammatory tablets, nothing more. Tells him to keep moving away from the denser areas, away from the constant noise. Tells him he might just be exhausted. She does not let him inside the pharmacy. Guard takes his beans through the gap and sends him on. That is the right call. The virus likes enclosed spaces full of stale air. That is why it lives in the ductwork and on dusty counters. That is why I sleep with my scarf over my mouth when dust drifts down from somewhere I did not disturb. When the visitor leaves, Luis writes something in a little ledger book. He is making lists too. Stock, trade, maybe debt. He holds the pencil hard enough that his knuckles fade. He keeps that book close. I watch where he puts it. 3rd shelf from the back, behind a row of blood pressure cuffs. Good to know. That first night with them below, I do not sleep much. I doze in short stretches and wake at every new sound. Someone turning over on a sleeping pad. Someone going to the back door to use a bucket. Quiet whispers between Devon and Hannah in the small office. Laughs from Mara that cut off suddenly when someone shushes her. At one point in the night, I hear something else. The soft scrape of nails on metal above me, in the space between the roof and the ceiling grid. I stop breathing and press my face into the insulation, listening hard. The sound comes again. Not claws, nails, too deliberate to be rodents. Something large shifts weight on the beams. There is a gentle thud, as if an elbow or a shoulder bumped a duct. Then a long pause. I inch along my plank toward the source of the sound. There is no light up here, only the faintest glow from distant cracks, so I feel with my hands. My fingers brush insulation, plastic vapor barrier, cold metal of a duct. The sound repeats, closer this time. A soft drag, a low murmur that does not quite form a word. There should not be anyone else up here. I checked every hatch when I moved in. I blocked one with a pile of old duct pieces. Another I nailed shut from above. If an echo got into the roof space from outside, it would need a reason. Noise. The only steady noise up here is the slow hum of the old rooftop vents, unless someone turned on a fan I did not know about. I slide forward and touch the edge of another tile, one I never cut. Through the gap, I can see a line of light from the mattress store below. No movement, no shadows. Whatever is up here is not directly above that room yet. I inch further, and finally see it when my eyes adjust. A pale face floats above the ductwork, maybe 3 feet away, at stomach height. Clouded eyes fixed on nothing, mouth slightly open, hair matted. The rest of the body is behind a beam. The head tilts toward the sound of my breathing, even though I am trying to be silent. The jaw works twice, dry, without sound. Then one hand slides into view along the beam and gropes at the air. I pull back very slowly until my spine presses against a support. My fingers flex once around the handle of the small pry bar I keep tied to my belt. The echo's hand brushes the duct and then rests there, fingers tapping at the thin metal when the fan inside vibrates. It is following the hum. It is not hunting me directly. It does not know I am here. Not yet. I do not move for a long time. I listen. Below us, the pharmacy stays quiet. No one there knows that there is a dead thing crawling in the void above. No one hears the soft tapping that sounds very loud in my ears. The echo drifts forward another inch, then wedges its shoulder against a beam and stops. It might die there again if it cannot go further. Bodies get stuck in odd places in this new world. The gaps and corners collect them. That incident changes something. My nest is no longer as safe as I thought. If this one found a way up, others can too. There must be a loose hatch on the roof, or a service opening near the vent units. I will have to go up there and seal it during daylight when the echoes outside are fewer, which means climbing onto open roof and risking being seen. The thought sits heavy in my chest. I file it away on the list of problems that will not solve themselves. By morning, the echo above has stopped moving. Its hand rests on the duct, fingers still. I edge around it on other planks, careful not to shake the grid. I make a note in my notebook. Echo in roof void. Drawn to fan hum. Stuck on beam. No active threat for now. I do not tag it as urgent. There are plenty of other urgent things. The next few days settle into a pattern. The pharmacy group wakes, rotates guard at the front, sends Mara and Devon out in short scouting runs to nearby houses, and keeps the shutters mostly closed. They make small trades with people who come by, cough drops for dried fruit, a single course of antibiotics for a bundle of batteries and bottled water. Hannah keeps a very firm hand on what leaves the building. Luis keeps a firm hand on who owes them favors. I watch all of it. I mark what time they go out, how long they stay, whether they seem more tense or less when they return. I notice that Mara's pockets bulge a little more than the group's supplies account for. Little things vanish from shelves, a candy bar, a lighter. Nothing huge, but the pattern is there. She moves like a kid in a store before the outbreak, slipping items under her coat. Habit is stronger than rules. At first, I keep to my rule about not interfering. I treat them like a storm I am watching from an attic window. I know from experience that if I open that window and stick my head out, something will hit me. You stay alive by staying away from the center of the room where people are yelling. That is how my childhood went. That is how these last months have gone. Then on the 4th day, I break that rule. Only a little. In a way that I tell myself is just observation. It happens at midday. The sun outside is bright and harsh. There are not many echoes moving because most of them cluster in shaded areas when light is strong. The pharmacy feels almost calm. Luis sits at the back counter with his ledger, making notes about supplies. Hannah bandages Devon's leg again in the office. Carter checks the shutters at the front. Mara drifts between shelves pretending to dust. From my slot above the back shelves, I can see the ledger on the counter. It is open to a page with 2 columns. Trade in, trade out, neat handwriting, lines for each person they have dealt with. No names, just descriptions. Man with red hat, cough, took throat lozenges, paid in jerky, that sort of thing. At the end of each day, Luis locks the book behind the blood pressure kits. Next to the ledger sits a small bottle of painkillers. Not prescription stuff, just over-the-counter pills, but rare enough now. Luis keeps that one close too. He has been touching his temple more often, rubbing the same spot. The stress builds in him. I can see it in the way his shoulders round more at night. My hand moves before I really decide. I slide one of my own empty pill bottles from my stash to the edge of the tile. I filled it with a few pebbles days ago, just as a noisemaker. The plastic looks close enough to the one on the counter. When Hannah and Devon move into the office and Carter steps outside for a second to check the sky through the shutter gap, Luis gets up and walks toward the bathroom down the hall. I time it. The space between his footfalls, his angle. The moment the door latch clicks behind him, I ease the tile up a fraction, drop my pebble bottle onto the shelf below, and slide the real painkiller bottle inward into the shadow where he cannot see it right away. The swap takes less than 2 seconds. The empty bottle lands upright, label facing away. From down there it looks right. I lower the tile and lie still, listening. Luis returns, muttering to himself. He grabs the bottle without looking closely, shakes 2 pills into his hand, and tosses them into his mouth dry. He removes his hand from his face and waits. When the pain does not ease, he opens the bottle and frowns, tipping the rest into his palm. Pebbles. He curses under his breath and slams the bottle down hard enough that the sound jumps up through the grid. "Who messed with this?" he shouts. Hannah sticks her head out of the office. "Messed with what?" "This," he says, waving the bottle. "There were pills in here this morning. I counted them." Mara looks away too fast. Devon watches both of them with tired eyes. Carter steps back in and glances at the ledger first, then at Luis's hand. He does not say anything yet. I can feel the mood in the room shift, not in a mystical way, in small, clear details. Stiff shoulders, tight grips, little pauses at the wrong places. Luis turns slowly and stares at the shelves where he keeps the most valuable small items. He looks at each face in the room. "Nobody is going to say anything?" he asks. Hannah wipes her hands on her pants and sighs. "We have been busy, Luis. Maybe you miscounted. Maybe you used more than you thought. It has been a long week." "I know how many were there," he says. "Stuff does not walk off on its own." Mara opens her mouth, closes it. The movement is quick. Carter notices. I can tell by the way his eyes shift to her and back to Luis. Devon shifts his weight off his bad leg and grimaces. He looks like he wants no part of this. He has enough pain of his own. They do not resolve it right then. There is no screaming match, no sudden split. The suspicion just hangs there in the space between them. I watch it settle on them like a film of dust that will not blow away. Luis hides the ledger and the empty bottle behind other boxes. Mara stays further away from that counter for the rest of the day. Carter lingers near her every time she walks past the more valuable shelves. In my notebook I write, Test 1, resource removed, substituted with fake. Result, immediate suspicion, mostly toward youngest member. No open confession. Group tension increased. My pencil digs into the paper. I tell myself this is just observation. I am not hurting anyone. It is just a missing dose of mild painkillers. Luis will live without it. Nothing drastic. The problem is that it feels good. Not joyful good. Just clean, sharp, in control good. For once, I am the one adjusting something in the room instead of being the one everyone else adjusts around. I set a piece down, and the others move in response. The pattern changes, and I can see exactly how. It is simple and clear, and makes more sense than people usually do. Over the next week, I keep my interference small, but I do not stop. I nudge, I shift, I test. I take one battery from a pack and leave the rest. I move a water bottle from the shared crate to the corner where Mara sometimes stores her secret finds. I loosen the antenna on a radio that Carter spends hours trying to coax back to life. Each time, I watch what happens. Mara ends up with the blame more often than not. She is the easy one to suspect. History follows her. Luis starts assigning her to more dangerous scouting runs. "You are fast," he says, as if that is the only reason. Carter checks her pockets before they head out. Devon tries once to step in, but Luis shuts him down with a flat look. Hannah just gets more tired. I am not proud of it. I am also not sorry yet. That is the truth. I tell myself that I am just learning, that if I understand how trust breaks, maybe I will see the signs earlier next time and stay out of the blast radius. Maybe. That is what I write in the notebook when my conscience twitches. Outside, the wider world keeps grinding down. Fewer vehicles on the road, fewer distant gunshots. The broadcasts that still crackle through on my small battery radio sound more desperate now. Local authorities working with what is left of emergency services, lists of quarantine failures, requests for calm in neighborhoods that do not exist in the same way anymore. No one says the word recovery with a straight tone. One night I pick up a short transmission from somewhere not too far away. A man's voice, thin through static. He warns about long-term carriers. People who look fine, test negative, but start slipping under stress weeks later. His description matches something I already suspected. The way Luis has started mishearing things, repeating small phrases under his breath. The way he keeps zeroing in on the hum of the fridge motor when he stands still too long. I close my eyes and picture the stages that I have seen. First the headaches and the short temper, then the broken sleep, the jumpiness at small sounds, then the drifting attention. People start staring at a flickering light or a spinning fan, losing track of what others are saying to them. Then, days later, the full echo stage, the mind half gone, the body just following patterns. Luis is not there yet, but something in his movements makes me mark his name with a small cross in my notebook. Not a death mark, just a warning. I write, possible low-stage carrier, watch for misheard speech, watch exposure to constant noise. I do not know what I would do with that information even if I confirmed it. Tell him? Tell Hannah? That would mean speaking. That would mean showing myself. That is still on the do not list. The first time I see the raiders, it is midday and the sky is clear. The sun reflects off the windshields of their truck as it rolls slow past the strip mall entrance. Not fast and desperate like the convoy that brought the pharmacy group. Slow, steady, watching. I am above the front row of stores when their engine sound reaches me. I crawl to one of my narrow front gaps and look down. A pickup, older model, with patched panels and a heavy steel bumper. 3 men inside. One drives with one arm on the wheel, relaxed. One leans out the passenger window with binoculars. The third sits in the back seat with his head on a swivel, scanning the storefronts. They do not stop. Not this time. They roll past, eyes on the half-lowered shutters and the dark glass. The man with the binoculars lingers on the pharmacy sign. He taps the roof of the truck with one knuckle as they pass. A small signal, a note. I know what that means. He is filing this place away for later. Places with metal shutters and people inside are worth coming back to. I back away from the gap and feel my lips pressed tight. I should leave. That thought comes again, stronger now. Once people like that take interest in a location, they do not just forget it. They come back with a plan. Another part of me is curious. How will this group handle that kind of pressure? How do you put rules and ledgers and small trades up against 3 men with a truck and guns, who do not care what your plans are? I do not know how many days pass between that drive-by and their return. It is easy to lose track of time when every day has the same sounds. Footsteps, doors, low conversations. I mark sun positions in my notebook, count scab lines on my hands, but the exact number slips. What sticks instead is the first time I hear those same engines again, closer, with less patience in the way the gears sound. It is late afternoon when they roll in for real. The echo presence in the lot is low. Bright light keeps most of them under awnings and in narrow alleys. The truck swings into the lot and stops a little way from the strip mall entrance this time. Doors open. The men climb out. I see 3 again, but they move like they have backup somewhere else, maybe in another car out of my view. The driver is thick through the shoulders, hair cropped short. The passenger with the binoculars wears a ball cap with the bill bent down low. The third man carries a shotgun and walks ahead of the others as if he is bored. None of them shout yet. They do not posture. They move in a calm, practiced way that makes my throat dry. This is not their first stop. They approach the front of the strip mall. Inside, guard must hear the engine and their footsteps. He calls out to the others. I hear him tell Mara to stay back, Hannah to hold in the rear. Luis moves toward the front with his chin up. That is his role, the one who talks. I shift along my plank to get a better angle. I want every detail. The raiders do not knock. They stand about 3 feet from the half-lowered shutter and look at it in silence for a moment. Then, the one with the ball cap crouches and peeks under. He sees the shelf and the boots behind it and smiles. Not friendly, just pleased to confirm what he already suspected. He lifts the shutter a few inches with one hand, strong enough that the chain rattles. "Afternoon," he says. "Nice place you got." Carter's voice comes from behind the shelf. "Shutter stays where it is. State your business." The man laughs once and lets the shutter fall a little. Metal claps against metal and rings through the grid. "Business," he repeats. "Sure, we are looking for steady partners. We saw your signal the other day. People coming, going, meds moving. We help with security. You help us with supplies. Fair trade." Louis steps up beside Carter. "We do not need security," he says. "We are fine. We trade on a case-by-case basis, not contracts." The driver scratches his chin and looks up at the sign. "Luis, right?" he asks. "We heard that name from a guy about 2 days back. Said there was a man named Luis running a clean little pharmacy outpost on this side of town. Kind of a bottleneck on meds. That true?" I see Luis's shoulders stiffen. Someone he traded with already spread the word. That is how it goes. You cannot control that part. He tries anyway. People talk. Does not mean we are taking on new deals. The shotgun man strolls a little to one side, looking at the other shop fronts. His stance is loose. He is not pointing the weapon, just letting it hang on the sling. His face looks empty, not angry. That is worse. Angry people can sometimes be talked down. Empty ones just follow habits. Ballcap man crouches again. "We do not need much," he says. "Few things for one of our own. Bad ear infection. Fever. We bring you fuel. You like fuel, right? I do not hear your generator right now. Must be stretching what you have." Inside, Devon mutters something about the generator to Hannah. I hear the word noise and echoes close together. He understands the trade-off. Power means light, cold storage, maybe signal. It also means a sound beacon calling dead things from every direction. The back and forth at the shutter stays calm for now, but the tension settles under it. Every sentence has weight. Every small pause risks a misstep. I know where this sort of conversation tends to end. Someone will push. Someone else will not feel they can back down without losing face. Pride does not vanish just because the world fell apart. It gets sharper. I realize this could get bad fast. My rules feel thinner than they did yesterday. I am watching a match and a dry pile of kindling, and my hands are above the scene with the ability to tilt a small bit of air on that fire. I have already shifted pieces in smaller ways. I could keep watching and take notes on how it plays out, or I could do something. The generator sits near the loading dock at the back of the strip mall. They keep it in a little caged area, chained to a post, with a line running through a vent into the building. When it is on, the whole structure vibrates. Echoes gather at the rear and start pressing at the doors. The raiders know this. People like them learn the patterns fast. They might try to force the group to run it so they can follow the sound later. I crawl away from the front gap and move toward the back of the building. My planks shift slightly under my weight. The dead echo wedged on the beam near the fan has not moved. Its skin is drier now, pulled tight around the jaw. I avoid its outstretched hand and reach the tile above the back hallway. Below the hall is dim, only a little light from a side door. The generator cage is beyond the outer wall. I know the wiring here well. I used to replace ballasts and fix exit signs for a little extra cash. I know which breaker controls the old store speakers, which one feeds the emergency alarm, which one runs to the back door security buzzer. Most of it is dead, but some of it still works when someone feeds power into the right spots. In the cramped space near the junction box, I pull out the small flashlight I keep taped in place and click it on, shielding the beam with my hand. I scan the labels I scratched here when the world still had order: emergency alarm, loading dock chime, security siren. The siren is disconnected, but the chime still works if it gets enough juice. I take a breath and flip one breaker, then another. Somewhere in the wall, a tiny relay clicks. Nothing sounds yet. The generator is not running. The chime will be quiet until someone tries the back door. I could route it differently. If I send one line into another, I might be able to trigger a constant tone. That would pull echoes to the far side of the building, away from the front, away from the raiders. I grip the screwdriver and strip a bit of insulation from one wire, then another. My hands shake enough that I have to brace my wrist against the panel frame. I hook the wires together, twist them tight, and tape them in place. A soft buzz starts in the wall, then a steady high tone. Not loud in here, but it will come through the little speaker by the dock as a continuous call. I kill my flashlight and listen. The tone is dull through the drywall, easy to ignore for humans unless they are nearby. For echoes, it will sound bright. It will give them a simple focal point. Sound means direction. Direction means gathering. In 10 minutes, that back area will be a crowd of dead arms pressing at the doors. The raiders will not see that from the front. The pharmacy group might not notice until the pressure builds. I crawl back toward the front as fast as I dare. The grid groans once and I move to the stronger supports, shifting weight to the plank that runs along the main beam. My shirt sticks to my back. I ignore it. I reach my viewing gap above the pharmacy and look down again. Ballcap man still crouches by the shutter. His tone is less friendly now. "We are not walking away empty after coming all this way," he says. "We could have gone to the other store off the highway. Heard some people set up there too. We picked you first. That should count for something." Luis stands behind the shelf, arms folded. "You want meds? You trade something real," he says. "Fuel, sure, but not some promise. You bring the cans inside, we see what you have. Then we talk pills." Carter murmurs to him. "Bringing them inside is not smart," he says. "We do deals through the gap. That is the rule." Ballcap tilts his head. He heard something in the tone. "You got rules in there?" he asks. "That is cute." I hear it before any of them do. A change in the air under my ribs. The faintest additional moan under the existing noises. Echo voices from the backside of the building. The steady tone I started is doing its job. Shapes out there will be turning and moving, drawn in. The loading dock doors will shudder soon. I realize I may have overcomplicated this. I meant to draw danger away from the front, not stack it in the rear while these men argue at the entrance. If the group needs to retreat through the back when something goes wrong at the front, they will run straight into a wall of echoes. I did not map the second and third moves. I only thought about the first. That is how mistakes start. The discussion at the shutter gets sharper. Ballcap straightens up and dusts off his knees. "All right," he says. "We will come back later. Maybe you will be more flexible then." The driver shifts his weight. "We can be patient," he says. "Place like this will not last long on goodwill and glue. Gates like that need the right kind of friends." Shotgun man smiles a little for the first time. "Or less friends," he says quietly. They step back toward their truck. Carter relaxes a bit. I see it in his posture. Luis lets out a short breath. He thinks he won this round. He did not. People like those three do not just walk away forever. They will circle, test other weak points, wait for night or rain or a distraction. They act on odds, not pride. At the same moment, a loud metallic thud shakes dust from the ceiling near the back hallway. Everyone in the pharmacy stiffens. Even the raiders stop and turn their heads. Another thud. Then a chorus of low moans rises and falls from the direction of the loading dock. "Back doors," Hannah says sharply. "Something found the dock." Luis swears under his breath. He looks from the front to the rear, calculating. Carter starts to move toward the sound, then hesitates. "I will check," he says. "Stay here." Ballcap watches him go with interest. "You got trouble in there?" he calls. "We can help with that." Luis does not respond. He forces the shutter down another few inches, cutting off the sight line. Ballcap does not fight him on it. The raiders walk back toward their truck in no particular hurry, get in, and start the engine. Not leaving, just repositioning. I drop my head and close my eyes for a moment. I hear the word fool in my own voice. It fits me better than anyone else right now. I set something in motion without a full picture, and now there are echoes at the rear doors because I wanted to see how sound controlled them. I wanted to test it again on a bigger scale. That was the truth, under the excuse of protecting the front. I force my eyes open and make myself look. Carter reaches the back hallway and peers through the little square window in the dock door. He swears and steps back. "They are thick out there," he says. "I count at least 12 at the grate, more coming from the fence line." Hannah joins him and looks for herself. "That tone," she says. "Is that the chime? It sounds constant. That is not right." Devon limps up behind them. "Kill the power to it," he says. "Whatever is making it ring, shut it down. We cannot have a beacon on our backside." My cheeks heat even though no one can see me. I did not think the sound would carry this far inside. It is faint in the ceiling, but clear in the hall. Something must have shaken the wiring and boosted it. Or I just misjudged the volume. I feel the urge to fix it, to crawl back to the junction box and untwist the wires. But the hall below is filling with people now. Any movement I make overhead risks giving away my presence. "Breakers?" Hannah asks. "Where are they?" "In the maintenance closet," Devon says. "By the mattress store. I saw the panel when we pulled in the first day. There it is. If they go for the breakers, they will come right under me, into the same corridor where my ladder hatch hides behind a stack of mattresses. If they open the wrong door, they will find my path." The thought sends a sharp line of panic through me. I feel my right hand clench around the edge of the plank. Luis joins them. "We do not have time to go hunting panels," he says. "We can handle a few echoes at the dock. They cannot break through that metal." Carter shakes his head. "Today they cannot. Tomorrow maybe there are 30. We do not want a crowd camping that door. We need that exit." Devon glances toward the front, and we do not want that truck out there to see us fighting them and realize how thin we are spread. Luis finally relents. "Fine, kill the noise first. Devon, you know where the panel is. Take Mara. Stay low. Carter, keep an eye on the front and pretend we are not busy plugging holes." Hannah grips his arm. "Do not stay gone long," she says. "If more people drive up, I need you here to talk." He nods and pulls away. "We will fix it fast. Then we deal with the truck if they are still around." My world shrinks to the area above the mattress store and the corridor. Devon and Mara will be under me in less than a minute. If they open the maintenance closet, they will see the panel and maybe the scuff marks on the wall where I used to lean while working. If they look up and see the cut lines around my hatch, they will know someone is above them. I am not ready for that. I move along my planks as quietly as I can, away from the junction box and toward the far corner of my nest. I flatten myself, pull the loose insulation pieces over my body, and leave only a small gap for my nose. I focus on breathing shallow. Dust tickles my throat. I swallow it instead of coughing. Footsteps in the hall below. Devon's slower, uneven cadence. Mara's lighter, quicker steps beside his. They stop at the maintenance closet door. The knob rattles. "Locked," Mara says. Devon grunts. Nothing is really locked anymore. I hear him set his shoulder against the door and shove. The frame groans. The old latch snaps with a sharp crack. The door swings inward. I hear their reactions as they step inside. The thick smell of cleaning chemicals, mops stacked in corners, old signage, the panel box on the wall. If they look up, they might see the faint seam where my hatch is cut. I count 3 long seconds and no one says anything about the ceiling. That is good. Either they did not notice, or they think it is just bad patchwork. Devon opens the panel. Metal squeaks. "Here," he says. "One of these must be for the dock chime. Whoever wired this place followed some kind of logic. Should be labeled." Mara leans closer. "You can read that mess?" "Worked in facilities back before all this," he says. "Not here, but same kind of layout." There is a pause as he scans the rows. "Here," he says again. "Loading dock signal, I think." He flips the breaker. The high tone in the wall cuts off mid-note. The moan of the echoes outside continues, but the focus there will start to break up. Without the constant sound, some of them will drift again. Mara exhales. "That was awful," she says. "My head felt full of glass." "Mine too," Devon says. "Let us hope that is enough for now." They step back into the hall and leave the closet door swinging on its broken latch. No one lifts their eyes to the ceiling. I stay under the insulation until their footsteps fade. When I finally shift and uncover my face, my throat feels raw from holding everything in. In the grocery side of the building, a jar slips off a shelf and cracks. Someone swears and cleans it up. At the front, the Raider truck idles for a bit longer, then pulls away. For now, I watch it go through my front gap and feel no relief. People like that do not forget a place with supplies and tired defenders. They have time and fuel and guns. Time and fuel run out, but not soon enough. When night falls, rain starts. Light at first, then heavier. It drums on the flat roof overhead. The sound covers smaller noises. It hides the shuffle of echoes and the creak of planks. It also hides my movements from the ears below. That makes it tempting. I know rain draws some echoes out because water hits their skin and triggers old habits. People used to come outside when it rained, stepping into yards and under awnings. Echoes follow those grooves without knowing why. Hannah has the group do a quick infection check before they bed down. She insists on it every few days. Shirts up, arms out, necks exposed. She looks at every patch of skin for bites, scratches, strange rashes. She checks eyes for redness. Asks about headaches. No one argues anymore. Too many stories of people ignoring a small mark and paying for it later. Luis shrugs his shirt off and stands under the harsh lantern light. His skin is pale except for sunburn on his neck. No bites, no obvious wounds. Hannah still frowns at him. "How is your sleep?" she asks. He snorts. "Bad, same as everyone." "You snap at every noise," she says. "You misheard half of what I said this morning." "That is because you mumble," he says. His tone is sharp. He regrets it as soon as the words leave his mouth. I see his shoulders sag. "Sorry, I am tired." She does not drop it. "If you start repeating yourself or staring at machines for too long, you tell me," she says. "We cannot risk someone going echo in here, not with the shutters shut and all of us boxed in." He nods without meeting her eyes. Mara watches all of this from the side, silent. Carter makes his own inspection quick, almost bored, but he does not skip it. No one hides a bite. That old movie scene died fast in the first month. People learned. Later that night, when everyone lies down on mats or blankets, I hear Luis mutter the same phrase twice under his breath. "Walls and rules," he says. "Walls and rules." He repeats it again a few minutes later when a distant thunderclap shakes the roof. That twitch draws my attention. I circle the words in my notebook. If I hear an echo outside speak those same syllables one day, I will know what happened to him. Days blur. I track small changes. Hannah's patience thins. She snaps at Carter when he plays with the radio too long and wastes batteries on static. Mara grows quieter, pockets fuller. Devon's limp worsens. He grimaces more often, moves slower, but still volunteers for heavy tasks. Evan stays almost invisible, doing whatever anyone asks without argument. He starts looking at the front door more, as if thinking about leaving. My interference grows piece by piece, and every time I tell myself it is the last one. I move a can from one stack to another. I shift a box of gauze so it looks missing. I unplug the little fridge for an hour while no one is watching, and then plug it back in, just to see if anyone notices the slight change in temperature inside. These are small things, nothing fatal, but they push edges. The raiders do not come back right away. I suspect they are busy wearing down someone else this week. They will return when they expect fear to have swollen in this place, when they think time has done half their work. That is what I would do if I were them. One afternoon, a different kind of visitor arrives. A family of 4 approaches the strip mall on foot. 2 adults, 2 kids. One of the kids walks with a blanket over his head as if the light hurts his eyes. My stomach tightens at that detail. I slide to a vent above the front area and listen. They knock and call out for help. The father offers canned goods in exchange for medicine for the boy. He says the child has an ear infection and a bad fever. Hannah moves toward the front fast. Luis tries to slow her, but she ignores him. The sound of the kid's muffled whimper cuts through the closed shutter. Everyone outside stays outside, Carter says. We do not pull whole families in. We are not set up for that. Hannah looks at him like he just suggested tossing the kid into the lot. I will examine him through the gap, she says. I am not dragging them all inside. I know the rules. I made half of them. She crouches at the shutter line and has the father lift the blanket from the child's head just enough for her to see his ears and eyes. The boy squints and jerks away from the light. His eyes are red around the edges. His ears look swollen. He flinches at the scrape of metal when the shutter chain moves. Ring in his ears? She asks. Yes, the father says. He cries when the generator runs. We shut it off 2 nights ago. He still holds his head and whimpers at every little noise. Sleep? Barely. Same for the rest of us. She studies the kid for a long moment, then writes something on a slip of paper and passes out a very small bag of pills, enough for maybe 2 days of proper dosing. Give him these exactly as written, she says. Take him further from the dense areas. Less noise, less infection in the air. The father tries to trade more food for more pills. She refuses. If this is the start of the virus, nothing in here will stop it, she says plainly. These are for the chance that it is still just a bacterial thing. After that, all you can do is keep him away from big sounds and hope his brain does not go the wrong way. The father's shoulders slump. He thanks her anyway. The mother stares at the shutter for a long moment with hollow eyes, then turns away. The family leaves, walking slow. The boy keeps the blanket on his head and flinches every time an echo moans in the distance. I follow their progress from gap to gap until they vanish down the side street. I will never know what happens to them. That night, Luis and Hannah argue in low voices about resource use. He thinks she gives away too much. She thinks he hoards too much. The words go in circles. If we keep everything for ourselves, she says, no one will come back. And if no one comes back, this place dries up. We cannot live on what is on these shelves forever. And if we give away every second bottle to the first sad face at the door, he says, we will not make it through the month. Their fight does not explode. It simmers. That is worse in some ways. I listen and make notes. Stress increases. Resources decrease. Outside threats wait. Inside tension builds. All it needs is a spark. The spark arrives with the second real visit from the raiders. The sky is grey that day. Low clouds pressing down. The air feels heavy. I notice from how sound carries. Every footstep on the concrete outside sounds nearer. Echoes move more sluggishly, as if the moisture weighs on them. The truck pulls in without hurry again, same as before. This time, behind it comes a second vehicle. A smaller car, doors removed, with supplies lashed to the roof. 4 extra bodies. 2 ride in the back with rifles across their laps. They are not hiding anything. This is not a casual chat day. I am already above the front gap when they kill the engines. The silence afterward feels deep in my ears. For several seconds, no one speaks. Then boots crunch on gravel. The men and women from the second car fan out a little, scanning the edges of the lot. They sweep the area with quick, practiced glances. No echoes nearby. Not yet. Inside, Carter notices them first. "We got company," he says. "Same truck plus friends." Luis joins him at the shutter. He runs a hand over his face, wipes away sweat and dust. "Everyone on your positions," he says. "Hannah, stay back until we know what they want this time." Mara mutters something under her breath. I catch the phrase, "What they want is already decided." Sharp, but not wrong. Ballcap steps up to the shutter again. He does not crouch this time. He stands with his feet planted, hands on his belt. The shotgun man is on his right. A woman with braided hair and a sidearm stands on his left. The driver hangs back by the truck bed, watching everywhere else. "Afternoon again," Ballcap says. "We gave you time to think. Been visiting some of your neighbors meanwhile. Thought we would check in." Luis's voice stays steady. "We did not ask for protection," he says. "We are doing fine on our own." "Are you though?" Ballcap tilts his head. "Because I hear you had some trouble at the back doors the other day." My back stiffens. So they heard the echoes pounding at the dock. Of course they did. Sound carries. Maybe they swung around the alley, took a peek, saw the bodies pressed to the grate. Maybe someone you would call a lookout stayed nearby that whole time, counting movements while the truck pretended to leave. "That is handled," Carter says. "Not your concern." Ballcap's smile does not reach his eyes. "Everything here is my concern," he says calmly. "This road, we keep it clear. That lot, we keep it from filling with dead. We do that work already. All we are asking is that everyone who benefits from that work pays a little toward it." "By handing over medicine you did not earn," Luis says. "We earned it by not letting a herd crash through your front windows last week," Ballcap answers. "You think those things just choose not to wander here? Sound travels. We manage it. We redirect it. We pick targets. You are not the only pharmacy in range. We can just stop steering traffic away, if that is easier." The woman with braids glances at the others and steps forward half a pace. "Do not turn this into a speech," she says to him quietly. "Time is short. We have our own people to check on." He nods once. Then he looks at the shutter again. "Here is the simple version, Luis," he says. "We leave with a case of antibiotics and some painkillers, plus whatever you can spare for infection care. In return, we keep steering the worst of the echo herds off this place. You say no again. We let nature do its work. That is it." Inside, the silence after that sentence feels thick. I can imagine Luis's face without seeing it. Tight, cornered, pride on one side, fear on the other. Hannah whispers something to him. I cannot hear the words. I see the tilt of her head, the tension in her shoulders. She knows this is not a simple choice. If they give in now, they start a pattern. Every month, more demands. If they refuse, the raiders can absolutely make life harder. My fingers drum on the plank before I catch myself. I clench my hand and stop the sound. I am aware now that I am not neutral. I have touched the board. I have bent the rules around them. Part of the shape of this place is mine now. That feels wrong and good all at once. Luis clears his throat. "We are not a warehouse," he says. "We have a limited stock. If we hand you a case, that is months of care gone. You can see that." Ballcap shrugs. "You were not going to live months like this anyway," he says flatly. "You can buy weeks though. Those weeks might matter to whoever you care about in there." Hannah's voice rises. "You treat people outside this lot as disposable," she says. "You direct echoes at them so you can spare this place or that place based on what they pay. You are deciding who lives and who gets torn up. That is what you are telling us." He spreads his hands slightly. "I am telling you that there is no neutral ground anymore," he says. "Noise goes somewhere. Herds go somewhere. If no one steers anything, everyone gets hit sooner. We just happen to hold a wheel right now. You can call it wrong. You can call it survival. does not change what is happening. The honesty bothers me more than any lie would have. He is not hiding what he does. He is not pretending to be a savior. He sees the pattern clearly. Loud places get hit. Quiet ones get bypassed until something changes. He uses that. Part of me understands the logic. Another part wants to see him stumble. I think about touching the breakers again, about starting another tone or killing a light at just the right moment to distract someone. My hands still. I do not know where more interference would land right now. There are too many moving pieces. If I pull one wire, someone I did not plan for might fall. I force myself to stay still and watch. Inside, the pharmacy group breaks. Not cleanly, in little ways. Devon mutters that maybe paying once is worth it if it makes them leave. Mara snaps that paying once will turn into paying forever. Carter says he would rather fight now than get bled out over months. Hannah says no one will win a straight fight. Someone will end up feeding echoes either way. Luis tries to speak over them and fails. The raiders wait, listening to the argument through the shutter. In the end, Luis does what I expected. He tries to split the difference. "We will give you part of what you asked," he says. "Not a full case. We need enough left to make this place worth defending. You want us alive long enough to keep being useful to you." Ballcap looks at the others, weighing. He nods. "Half," he says. "We take half of what you counted last week. We know roughly what you have on those shelves. People talk. You short us. We will know." Luis swallows the insult. I hear that in the small pause. "Half," he agrees. "But no more demands this week. We need time to rebuild stock." "No promises," Ballcap says. "World moves fast." They organize the handoff through the gap. Boxes pushed under the shutter one by one. Carter keeps his palm on the metal, ready to shove it down if anyone tries to grab more than agreed. Hannah watches the boxes with tight lips. Devon sits down on a crate and stares at the floor. Mara stands back, arms crossed, eyes on the raiders' hands and weapons, not the medicine. Evan hovers near the rear hall, as if ready to run for the back exit at the first bad move. No one shoots, no one charges, no one swings a weapon. The raiders get what they wanted and load it into their truck. Ballcap tips an imaginary hat. "Pleasure doing business," he says. "We will remember who played nice." Then they leave. Engines up, gravel crunch, vehicles shrinking down the road. The sound fades. The lot feels wide and too quiet. Inside, the group exhales, as if they had been holding air the whole time. The argument that follows is the worst one yet. Not loud enough for echoes to hear from outside, but sharp enough to cut inside the walls. Mara calls Luis a coward. He snaps back that she would have sold out the whole place for her own stash if she had been in charge. Carter blames everyone for not preparing better. Hannah says the blame can wait. The stock is gone either way. Devon asks quietly what happens when someone inside gets sick now. No one answers. I listen and write, and this time the pencil digs deep enough to tear the paper. I realize that this is the pattern I am part of now. Not just an observer in the crawl space of society, but a pressure point in it. I cannot pretend I am just watching. My small tests and my big mistakes have added noise and stress to this place. Maybe the raiders would have come anyway. People like them always do. Maybe the group would have started to crack without my bottle swap or my wiring trick. But I did those things. I nudged them closer to the edge. That night, when everyone finally falls into restless sleep, a storm rolls in. Real storm this time. Strong wind, heavy rain, close thunder. The roof shakes once when a gust slams across it. Water finds new paths through cracked seals and drips into the ceiling void. Some of it lands on my planks. Some of it lands on the dead echo, washing dust from its hair. The storm sound covers everything else. It also unsettles the structure. One of the weaker ceiling brackets shifts with a loud metallic pop. A tile sags. I crawl over to it in the dark and brace the grid with my shoulder, sliding an extra strip of metal across the gap. For a moment I feel the whole weight of the ceiling pressing down. If this grid fails, It will send tiles and insulation crashing into the pharmacy and the mattress store. My nest will become a rain of dirty panels and a flailing body. I get the extra support in place and ease my weight off it. The grid holds. My heart wants to run, but I stay put. I cannot go to the roof now. Wind would throw me around. Echoes might be on the far side of the HVAC units, moaning at the sound of the storm. I settle on my side and stare into the darkness, listening to water drip and wood creak. At some point deep in the night, a flash of light slices through the cracks above my face. Then a sharp crack of thunder shakes the air. A second after that, the building hums with a different kind of sound. A low hum that rises and falls irregularly. I recognize it from my years in maintenance. Some long-forgotten piece of equipment just woke up from a power surge. The hum grows louder near the center of the mall, an old rooftop unit maybe, or a backup system triggered by the storm. The sound pours through the ducts and into the ceiling void. The dead echo's arm twitches. Its fingers tap against the metal again. Under us, in the dark hallways and empty shops, other echoes in hidden corners will hear it and start to move. I drag myself toward the source on my planks, gritting my teeth. I cannot let some random machine sing all night. It will pull in every echo within a few blocks. The raiders will not have to direct anything. The building will become a magnet all on its own. Rainwater leaks through a seam in the roof and splashes on my face as I cross. I wipe it away with the back of my hand and keep going. The hum gets stronger near a main duct. I press my ear to the metal and feel the vibration. The unit up top is running full tilt, probably stuck. If the fan seizes, it could spark. In a dry ceiling full of dust and insulation, a spark is more dangerous than any crowd of echoes. There is only one way to shut it off without flipping random breakers and drawing attention. I need to get to the roof. That means leaving the nest. That means opening one of the hatches I swore I would not touch again unless the building was on fire. Right now, in my mind, this hum counts as the start of a fire. The path is just slower. I reach the ladder hatch above the mattress store stockroom and ease the panel up. Darkness greets me below. The storm muffles any sound I make. I lower the ladder one rung at a time until it touches the floor. Then I climb down, feeling each rung for wet spots. My knees shake a little from more than exertion. I ignore that and focus on the next movement. Down, turn, step. My feet touch the stockroom floor. It smells stale and faintly of foam and old cardboard. I close the hatch above me but do not latch it, so I can get back fast. I move through the maze of mattress stacks, keeping my shoulders in close. The humming unit above vibrates the metal rack slightly. The sound feels wrong down here too. At the back of the stockroom, there is a narrow door that leads to a short stairwell, and then to the roof hatch. I used it in the old life when I had to sweep debris from the roof drains. I put my hand on the doorknob now and pause, listening. Nothing beyond it but the blunt roar of rain and wind. I open it and climb. The roof hatch is a heavy metal panel with a simple latch. Water runs around its edges in thin lines. I flip the latch and shove up. Cold air hits my face along with rain. I blink against it and haul myself into the open. The roof surface is slick. Huge metal units loom in the dark, their outlines broken by lightning flashes. The humming one is obvious. Its casing rattles. The fan inside makes a rough grinding sound. I keep my body low and move toward it. Each step is careful. The tar under my boots feels soft where water pools. At the edge of the roof, far away, I see 3 echoes swaying near a drain pipe. Faces tilted up toward the noise. One of them starts to climb the side of the building without much success, fingers slipping on wet paint. More will arrive if this goes on. At the unit, I find the service switch box. It is half rusted, but the lever still moves. I wrap my fingers around it and yank it down. The hum cuts off. The sudden silence feels deep. The unit shudders once and stops moving. The grinding ends. I stand there in the rain for a second, breathing through my mouth, watching the echoes at the edge of the roof. They lose interest when the sound dies. They shuffle away, pulled by some other distant noise, a loose sign, or a distant generator. That quick shift, that smooth follow of sound, is still one of the strangest things in this new world. I duck back to the hatch and climb down. By the time I reach my nest again, my clothes are soaked. I strip the outer layers off and spread them on a plank near the warm duct. The dead echo's body still lies where it stuck. Water beads on its forehead. Its fingers have stopped tapping again. For now, the crisis is past. It does not stay calm for long. Problems stack, food runs thin, tensions grow sharper. The raiders have their half case of medicine now. They will feel bold. They will tell others about the quiet pharmacy with the decent stock and the tired group that can be leaned on. Their version of the story will omit any hint of doubt or mercy. Inside the pharmacy, a small cough starts in Evan. Just a little thing at first, dry from dust, then deeper. Hannah notices. She asks questions. Exposure. Symptom timeline. He answers in short sentences. He has been outside more than the others lately, running water and trash. He sometimes watches the front road too long. He wants to leave but has nowhere better to go. That kind of man ends up catching the worst of things. One morning, when the others are busy with ration calculations, Evan slips toward the mattress store entrance. He pushes the door open and glances back once. No one calls him. No one even notices. I see all of it from my gap. He steps into the mattress store and stands there for a long moment, staring at the display beds. Dust lies on the quilts. A poster of a smiling couple hangs crooked on the wall. Evan reaches out and touches one of the mattresses, presses a hand into the foam, then pulls it back. He looks drained. He moves toward the back, toward the stockroom. My stockroom, my ladder hatch. I feel my hands go still. He is going to find the maintenance closet. He will see the broken door. He might notice the ladder if I left anything out of place. Or he might just want to sleep somewhere that is not full of arguments and ledger books. Either way, he is coming closer. I shift along my planks until I am above him. I can hear his steps clearly in this quiet space. He whispers something under his breath about needing silence. I know that need. It is what put me up here. It is what kept me alive. He pauses near the stack of mattresses that hides my hatch. His hand brushes the fabric. Then he sees the small scuff marks near the wall where the ladder has slid up and down 100 times. He frowns and crouches, peering into the shadows behind the stack. I hold my breath. His fingers find the bottom rung. He tugs gently. The ladder shifts and clinks. He freezes and looks up at the ceiling. His eyes scan the grid. They pass over the tile above my face. For a moment, our line of sight would meet if the tile were not there. My heart does whatever hearts do in moments like this, but I do not think about it. I press my face into the insulation and will myself to be part of the building. He tests the ladder again, then he lets it go. He stands up and steps back. His shoulders slump. He walks to the far side of the stockroom instead and sits on a discarded mattress in the corner, back against the wall. He closes his eyes. He just wanted somewhere quiet. He found this place but did not push further. I lie there above him for a long time, listening to his breathing settle into an uneven rhythm. Part of me wants to climb down, sit on the opposite mattress, and tell him that he is not the only one who still craves silence in this world of constant noise. Another part remembers every time a voice in a dark room ended with fists or slammed doors. I stay where I am. Days later, the event I have been circling finally lands. The worst mix of things lines up at once. The raiders return. The echo population nearby climbs due to some herd being redirected from the highway. And inside, Luis slides into the edge of echo stage without anyone catching it in time. It starts with lack of sleep. The storm week wrecked everyone's rest. The generator runs more often now because some of the fridges in neighboring buildings still hold edible scraps if kept cool. The hum gnaws at nerves. Luis starts talking to himself more, pacing with short steps. Walls and rules, he mutters under his breath. Over and over. He stares at the fridge motor when it cycles. He does not answer when Hannah calls his name the first time. Hannah notices, but she has too many other problems. Devon's leg is infected. The skin around the old wound is hot and angry. They used most of the good antibiotics already. The raiders carry half of what is left. Mara disappears twice on scouting runs for longer than agreed, comes back with new bruises and no clear explanation. Carter keeps trying the radio, hungry for any sign of organized authority that might roll in and solve things. None comes. The morning the raiders arrive again, the sky is clear and cold. Their trucks sound closer than before. They pull right up to the front doors. Doors slam. Boots hit pavement in quick succession. No slow walk this time. This is not a negotiation visit. This is enforcement. I am already above my front gap. I see them spread out. 6 this time. Ball cap, shotgun, braids, driver. 2 new faces. One with a hunting rifle. One with a bat wrapped in tape. They move like a unit that has done this enough times to know the pattern. Inside, the pharmacy group scrambles. Carter pulls the shelf tight against the shutter and raises his pistol. Luis grabs his own old revolver from under the counter. Hannah shoves Devon toward the back, telling him to stay out of direct line of fire. Mara disappears behind a shelf, knife in hand. Evan hovers in the middle, eyes darting between front and rear halls. Ballcap does not knock. He grabs the shutter with both hands and yanks it upward hard. The chain clatters. The shelf under it groans. Carter braces his shoulder against it and pushes back. For a moment the metal hangs between them, half open, half shut. Then the raider with the bat steps up and drives it under the shutter edge, levering it up. The shelf tips. The gap widens. Gunshots crack, one from inside, one from outside. A bullet punches through a display, spraying pillboxes. Another sparks off the shutter frame. Echoes in the distance turn toward the new sound, slow but steady. This is exactly the kind of noise that brings a crowd. I feel the old rule about not interfering shred in my hands. Staying silent and taking notes while these 6 roll over the people below is one choice. Turning the whole building into chaos is another. Either way, people will die. Maybe me too, if the ceiling fails. I reach for the junctions and switches I know. Above the pharmacy, there is still a working emergency alarm. The siren itself is dead, corroded, but the strobe lights in the ceiling corners can still flash if I feed them power. Flashing light will not attract echoes like sound, but it will disrupt vision in a fight. Maybe that will help the defense. Maybe it will confuse both sides. I crawl to the panel space and flip the breaker for the emergency lighting. A second later, red strobes start pulsing in the pharmacy ceiling. Harsh bursts of light fill and empty the room every second. Shadows jump, shapes stutter. The raiders at the shutter flinch, blinking against it. Carter uses that beat to shove the shelf harder. It slams into the shutter and knocks the bat away. Ballcap swears and ducks. He fires twice through the gap at random heights. One round punches through a shelf and hits a wall. The other clips Devon's shoulder as he tries to move toward the back. He drops to one knee with a sharp cry. Hannah spins toward him, and then back toward the front, torn. Outside, the driver shouts orders. "Side entrance," he yells. "Hit the grocery door." 2 of the raiders peel off toward the adjacent store. They will try to flank the pharmacy through interior doorways. They do not know I blocked one with a broken cooler, and that another is stuffed with fallen shelving. They will find their way through eventually. The noise level is climbing out of control now. Gunshots, shouts, metal on metal. The echoes in the neighborhood will converge on this building within minutes. I feel the vibrations in the grid already, like someone pounding on the far walls with open palms. The sound builds from all sides. I consider killing the main power entirely. That would plunge the interior into darkness except for flashlights. It would also shut off the strobe, which is helping in some ways. Without light, people will shoot at anything that moves. Friendly fire becomes more likely. There is no good option. Down below, one of the raiders manages to get under the shutter and roll into the pharmacy, using the shelf as partial cover. Carter fires twice at him, hits him once in the thigh. The man yells and falls behind an end cap. Another raider shoves the shutter higher and dives through. The fight is inside now. The entrance is breached. I crawl directly above the aisle where the second raider lands. I cannot see him clearly through the flashing light, but I can track his movement by sound. Boots on tile. He moves toward the counter, low, using displays as shields. Hannah grabs a metal tray and hurls it in his direction. It clangs off his shoulder. He snaps his weapon up toward her. My hand closes around the small pry bar at my belt. There is a weak tile directly above his path, one I have avoided stepping on since I moved in. If I knock something through it, it will fall straight down. A tool, a piece of duct, my whole body if I misjudge. For a split second, an old memory flickers up. My stepfather yelling while I crouched in the hall closet, listening to footsteps cross the kitchen. The feeling of wanting to throw something down just to stop the sound. I shove that aside and act. I slide the pry bar under the edge of the tile and jerk hard. The grid gives. The tile drops, along with a rolled piece of insulation and the heavy fire extinguisher I wedged there days ago as a test. The extinguisher falls straight onto the raider's shoulders. He goes down with a shout. His gun skids across the floor. Carter lunges from behind the shelf, grabs the weapon, and cracks the man once across the temple with the butt. The raider goes limp. Blood smears the tile, dark in the pulsing red light. Not a fountain, just a wet mark that spreads. He twitches once and lies still. No one has time to process the fact that something just fell from the ceiling. Bullets chew into the shelves from the front as another raider pushes the shutter higher. Luis fires back blind, shouting. Mara darts between aisles, trying to flank him with her knife. Evan stays frozen in the open area. I want to yell at him to get down. My jaw locks. No sound comes. The building itself begins to complain. Echoes outside hit the front doors and windows in growing numbers. Their hands slap glass. Their bodies bump the frames. The sound is a thick, steady impact that builds with every new body. The storm from last night loosened some of the seals. Cracks line the edges. The glass will not hold against endless pounding. I realize the only way any of them get out of this alive is through the back. The front is already gone. The sides will fill with echoes coming to the noise. The raiders might even break off and run when they see the herd coming, leaving the pharmacy group trapped inside. The back hallway, the loading dock, the mattress store, my stockroom, the roof. That is the chain. If any link in it is blocked, they are finished. The back dock, last I saw, still had a handful of echoes who never left after my tone test. The chime has been off for days, but some bodies linger in spots that once had strong sound. Habit. Without someone clearing them, that door will be a mess. I cannot fix that from here. I can, however, open the path through the mattress store and make sure it is clear. That means revealing my hatch. That means breaking rule 1 and 2 in the most obvious way possible. Another gunshot snaps me out of my head. A scream. Hannah's voice calls for someone who does not answer. I do not want to know who fell. I cannot stay up here much longer and pretend I am just watching a screen. The heat from the flashing lights and the smell of dust and gunpowder press around me. I crawl to the hatch above the mattress store stockroom, yank it open, and drop the ladder fast. It clatters against the wall. Down below, between thunder of impacts and shouts, that new sound rings clear. If anyone is in the stockroom, they will hear it. If not, the noise might just blend into everything else. I take a breath that feels rough in my throat and call out. My voice comes out cracked but louder than I expect. Back here, I shout. Mattress store stockroom, roof access. The words scrape, but they land. The echo of my own voice in the empty store sounds strange after so many silent weeks. In the pharmacy, voices cut off for a second. Who said that? Carter yells. Roof? Hannah shouts back. Where? Who is talking? Back hall through the mattress store, I yell again. Stockroom at the end, ladder to the roof. Move now, front is done. I do not wait for them to debate. I scramble up the ladder into the ceiling again, pull it 2 rungs up so it does not stick out into the open as much, and crouch, listening. My body shakes enough that I have to grip the plank with both hands to steady myself. The grid creaks. Dust falls. Below, feet pound the tile. I hear someone crash through the door into the mattress store. This way, Hannah's voice. She must have made it through the fight still breathing. I hear Devon limping, slower, muttering about his shoulder. Mara's lighter steps. Evan's shorter stride. Carter's heavier boots. I count only 5 distinct patterns. Luis's steps are missing. Either he is down, or he stayed to cover, or he froze. They stumble through the dark store, bumping into display beds. Someone knocks over a lamp and swears. The sound of bodies hitting the front glass grows louder behind them. A window shatters. Echo moans surge in. One of them calls out with that same broken phrase pattern I have heard before from others. Come on, come on, come on. I do not recognize the voice. I hope I never will. The pharmacy front is about to be overrun. The group reaches the stockroom. Hannah sees the ladder and grabs it. She looks up at the open hatch and freezes. Our eyes meet for the first time through the gap. Her face is streaked with sweat and dust. She sees the outline of my head and shoulders, the cramped space above. You are in the ceiling, she says, half statement, half accusation. Yes, I say. My voice shakes. Move, up, one at a time. Do not argue. You can yell at me later if we are still alive. She does not waste more time. She gestures to Devon. You first, she says. That shoulder will not let you fight through a herd. He hesitates. You should go first, he says. She shoves him toward the ladder. Climb, she snaps. I cannot drag you and patch wounds at the same time. Go. He goes. Grunting with effort, using mostly his good arm, he hauls himself up. The ladder shakes under his weight but holds. I brace the top with my hands, pulling up as he climbs. His head emerges into the void. I help him swing onto the planks and point toward the roof hatch. There, I say. Up and out. Careful. It is slick. Stay low. He nods, eyes wide, and crawls away. Hannah sends Mara next, then Evan. Each one passes me, close enough that I can smell sweat and fear and unwashed clothes. None of that matters. I just count them. 3, 4. Carter hesitates at the base of the ladder. Luis, he asks, breathless. Where is he? Holding the front, Hannah says tightly. Or trapped. We cannot get to him now. That is not an answer, Carter says. He looks like he wants to run back through the store with his gun up. The sound of glass breaking and bodies spilling in from the entrance reaches us. Echo voices mix with human cries. Nothing clear, just a tangle of noise. I lean down. If you go back now, you die, I say. He is either already gone, or he will be behind a wall of bodies. You cannot shoot your way through that. You know it. Carter looks up at me, eyes furious. Who are you? He asks. How long have you been up there watching us? Later, I say. You want to live? Climb. He hesitates one more second, then grabs the ladder and comes up. He moves fast, used to ladders and tight spaces. He hauls himself into the void and rolls onto a plank. I point toward the hatch. Roof, I repeat. Go. He crawls after the others. That leaves Hannah at the bottom. She looks up at me and then back toward the store. Luis, she shouts. No answer. Just the roar of echoes and the crack of something heavy falling. He is gone, I say quietly. If he is still moving, he is moving the wrong way. She stares at me. In that second, I see the weight of every patient she could not save in the old world, and now I see a calculation. No rescue party. No second chance. No ventilator. No team rolling a bed in. Just a ladder and a choice. She grips the rungs and starts to climb. As she does, I hear a voice from the mattress store. A hoarse shout. Wait! Luis. He staggers into view through the gap between stacks. His face is pale, eyes wide and unfocused. There is blood on his shirt. He lurches forward toward the stockroom, one arm outstretched. Behind him, at the far end of the store, echoes pour around toppled mattresses, dragging themselves over obstacles, drawn by his voice and the sounds from the pharmacy. For a split second, I think he will make it to the ladder. Then he stumbles. His head snaps toward the ceiling where the emergency strobe still reflects faintly through cracks, as if the light itself is a sound he can hear. His jaw works. I hear his voice form the phrase he has muttered for days. "Walls and rules," he says. "Walls and rules." The echoes behind him pick up the words without meaning. Their broken mouths shape the syllables in uneven chorus. It is awful in a way I cannot put into numbers. I watch Hannah freeze halfway up the ladder, halfway between him and us. "Do not you dare," Carter growls from above. "If you go down there, I am pulling this ladder up." Hannah clenches her jaw. Tears mix with the dust on her cheeks. She looks at Luis one more time, at his unfocused eyes, at the way he sways toward the nearest humming fixture instead of the ladder. She sees what I see. He is already halfway gone, maybe more. She climbs. When she reaches the top, I haul the ladder up behind her. Down below, Luis reaches the base of the wall and slaps his palm against it. Echoes crash into the stockroom door frame seconds later. Their hands claw at the spot where the ladder just was. The sound of their nails on drywall scrapes up through the hatch. I slam the panel shut. There is no lock on this side, so I drag a metal bar across it, wedging it into the framing. The pounding starts almost at once. The ladder shakes. The hatch jumps in its frame. It will hold for a while, not forever. The ceiling grid vibrates with every hit. Dust snow falls around us. "Move," I say to the group. "Roof, now. We cannot stay in the void. If they break through, this whole space will be full of them." Devon crawls toward the roof hatch, gritting his teeth. Mara follows, panting. Evan moves on his elbows, clutching a small pack of whatever he grabbed on his way out. Carter stays between them and the hatch like a living shield, eyes on every crack. Hannah glances back at the hatch I just barred, then pushes forward. We reach the roof hatch. I shove it up. Daylight floods in, too bright after the red strobes and darkness. The wind hits us, carrying the sound of echoes below and the distant roar of engines. The raider trucks are still out front. At least one engine is running. They might be fighting their own escape battle now, as echoes converge on the lot. Devon crawls out first, then Mara, then Evan, then Carter. Hannah pauses with her hands on the edge and looks back at me. "You first," she says. "This is your path. You know where to step out there." I hesitate. For years I lived under people's feet. Now I am the one who built the way above them. The idea of stepping onto the open roof with all eyes on me makes my chest feel too tight. I force myself to move anyway. I climb past her and pull myself onto the roof. The tar is dry now, wind having cleared the water. I crouch low and gesture. Stay low, I say. Keep away from the edges. We go to the far side, opposite the lot. There is a fire escape down the back wall. If the dock is overrun, we drop on the other side. They follow. We move in a line along the path I scouted earlier. The humming unit is silent now, thanks to the switch I pulled during the storm. Other rooftop boxes sit dead. From this angle, I can see the front lot. Echoes swarm the pharmacy entrance, spilling inside through the shattered glass. The raider truck is trying to reverse away. Its tires spin on a patch of blood and water. One of the raiders is on the hood, fending off grasping hands. I do not feel sorry for them. I also do not cheer. They are just another moving piece that reached the end of its line. That is all. We reach the back edge. Below us, the loading dock area is a mess of bodies. Echoes slam against the metal gates in a steady rhythm. Their combined weight bows the panels inward. There is no safe drop here. If we go down, we land on heads and arms. We will not get back up. Other side, I say. Across the roof, east corner. Fire escape drops into the side alley. Carter nods. Move, he says to the others. We stick to him. The alley side is clearer. Echoes are still converging on the front and back. The side wall has only a few wandering bodies near the dumpsters. They are focused on the louder sounds. We reach the fire escape, a rusted metal structure bolted into the wall. I tested it months ago. It held my weight then. I hope it still does now with 5 more bodies on it. I climb onto the top platform and start down, testing each step. The metal groans but holds. Below, the alley is narrow, lined with trash bins and cracked pavement. At the far end, the street bends toward a row of small houses. If we move fast and quiet, we can be 3 blocks away before the echoes here finish with the strip mall. Devon struggles with the stairs, but he keeps going. Mara clings to the rail, eyes on her feet. Evan whispers something that might be a prayer or a swear. Carter comes last, checking above and below with every step. Hannah follows me down, close here in a way she could not be in the ceiling. I can feel her eyes on the back of my neck. We hit the alley floor and crouch behind a dumpster. The sound of chaos from the other side of the building is a dull roar now. Glass breaking, wood snapping, echo voices in a tangled mess. No human words carry clearly anymore. Carter turns to me. "You," he says. "Start talking. Who are you? And how long were you above us?" I swallow. My throat feels raw from shouting. "Nico," I say. "I cleaned this place. Nights. Before all this. When people still bought mattresses with payment plans. I moved up there when the first herd started hitting the highway. Seemed safer than a shelter. I have been up there since." Mara stares at me with a mix of fear and anger. "You watched us this whole time?" she asks. "Every fight, every trade?" "Yes," I say. There is no point in lying. "I heard. I saw through vents. I took notes." "You took notes," she repeats, voice flat. Devon grimaces, leaning against the dumpster to take weight off his leg. "Did you ever help before today?" he asks. I think about the swapped pill bottle, the moved cans, the tone I wired that pulled echoes to the dock. I think about the extinguisher that dropped on the raider's head, the roof unit I shut off before it could catch fire, the words I shouted to get them to the ladder. The mix of harm and help is not something I can untie neatly. "Not like this," I say. "Not out in the open. I fixed some things. I made some worse. I told myself I was just watching. That was not true." Carter's jaw clenches. "So you were up there, messing with wires and bottles, while we blamed each other," he says. "Yes," I say again. The word tastes bad. I wanted to see how people reacted. I thought if I understood it, I could stay ahead of it. Silence presses between us for a second. Hannah's eyes search my face. "You pulled a ladder for us when it mattered," she says finally. "We can hate you later. Right now we need to move. Devon cannot run. We need a place within a few blocks that is not full of noise and dead. Do you know one?" I nod. I have mapped every building within 10 minutes of here in my head and in my notebook. There is a 1-story office 2 streets over, I say. Insurance company. Big open space. Only one way in and out. Bad for long term. Good for catching our breath. The roof there has no big units. Less noise. Fewer echoes linger. "Then we go there," she says. Carter bristles. "We do not just trust him." She looks at him. There is nothing soft in her face now. "We trusted raiders enough to let them come back again and again," she says. "We trusted that dock door more than we should have. We trusted that the world would settle into some new normal. None of that has done much for us. Right now, Nico is the only one who knows exactly how this block is laid out and how the sound carries. We use that or we die in this alley. That is the choice." Carter exhales through his nose, angry but not stupid. He nods once. "Fine," he says. "But if you try anything, ceiling man, I put you down myself." "Fair," I say. "I mean it." We move. I take point, staying low, listening ahead. Every clink of loose metal or crunch of glass makes my muscles tighten. We skirt the edges of bigger streets, hug fences, freeze when an echo shuffles past an intersection. From one corner, I hear the raider truck trying to barrel through a cluster of bodies. The engine revs, then stalls. Human screams rise, then cut off. The world keeps moving without them. We reach the insurance office in about 10 minutes. The front glass is cracked but intact. The door hangs half open, propped by a trash can. Inside, I see overturned chairs, a reception desk, scattered papers, no bodies, no dried stains on the carpet. I step in first, arm raised, listening. The air smells stale, but not rotten. Good sign. We sweep the space quickly. 2 side rooms, 1 storage closet, 1 break room with a dead vending machine and a small fridge humming faintly off some residual power feed. No echoes, no hidden raiders. We drag a filing cabinet in front of the door and jam a chair under the handle. Not perfect, but better than nothing. Devon sinks into a chair and grips his shoulder. Hannah moves to him at once, checking the wound from the bullet and the old infection. She peels back the bandage and hisses. The skin around it is angry and yellow. She has a few bandages and a tiny bit of ointment left in her bag. Not much more. "We need real antibiotics," she says quietly. "What I have left is not enough for this, and half of what we used to have is now in the hands of the men who just tried to kill us." Mara kicks a stack of folders and sends them flying. "So we escaped one trap and landed in another," she says. "We are short on meds, short on food, and now we have a ceiling ghost to deal with." "I am not a ghost," I say, more sharply than I mean to. My control frays a little. "I am standing right here." "Congratulations," she replies. "Glad you joined the rest of us." Carter plants himself near the door and watches the street through a crack in the blinds. His jaw works. "Those raiders will not stop," he says. "Even if half of them died back there, whoever is left will blame us for it. Word travels. Anybody who hears about a group that fought back will want to prove a point." Evan sits at a desk and stares at his hands. He coughs twice into his sleeve. The sound is dry and constant. Hannah's eyes flick to him. Another problem for the list. I stand in the middle of the room, feeling the stairs on my back. I do not climb into a ceiling or behind a wall this time. There is nowhere to go that is both safe and not an insult. I meet it head on. This is new for me. "You want to know what I saw from up there?" I ask. "You want to know what I wrote down about you?" Mara folds her arms. "Why would we care?" she says. "Because you might as well get something back for the privacy I already took," I say. "I cannot undo that. I can only tell you what I saw clearly, that you might not see from the middle of it." Hannah nods once. "Say it," she says. "You owed us that the moment you opened your mouth and dragged us up that ladder." I take a breath and lay it out. The scraps, the small thefts, the way Luis's mishearing started days before his words slipped full into echo patterns. How Mara's habits made her the target of suspicion even when she did not take more than anyone else. How Devon overextended himself because of guilt he never talked about. How Carter's reflex for control made every suggestion sound like an order even when he meant well. I tell them about my bottle trick, about the swapped pills, about the chime I wired that dragged echoes to their back door, about the extinguisher that fell, and the roof unit I shut off. I put it all in the open, each action with its consequence. I do not try to paint myself as a hero or a villain, just a man who made choices that tilted their world from a hiding place. When I finish, the room is very quiet. Devon shakes his head, tired. "So, we were a study to you," he says, "like bugs in a glass box." "Yes," I say softly, "at first. That was the easy way to think of it. Numbers and patterns instead of faces. The more I listened, the less that worked. You are not simple. None of you. I kept telling myself I was just adjusting variables. That lie got thin." Mara's hands curl into fists. "You made us turn on each other faster," she says. "You fed into it." "I did," I say. No excuses. I thought I was measuring how people break so I could avoid breaking myself. Instead, I helped push. Hannah looks at me for a long time. Her gaze is not soft, but it is not pure hatred either. "Are you infected?" she asks suddenly. The question hits somewhere deep. I start to say no, then stop. I think about the dust in the void, the dried spray from the echo pushed against the beam above me. The times I crawled through clouds of fine particles after a fight below shook the grid, the rawness in my throat after holding my breath. How disoriented I felt after the storm and the humming unit. I do not know, I say. I have not had a clear bite. No big scratches. No fever that I noticed. But I have been breathing the worst air in that place for months. If there is such a thing as a slow carrier, I could be one. Any ringing in your ears? She asks. Sometimes, I answer. Hard to tell where it comes from. There is always some noise in the grid up there. You start hearing it even when it is not there anymore. Sleep. Bad. Words you repeat without meaning to. I almost laugh, but it comes out thin. Just the rules, I say. My rules. 1 through 6. Over and over some nights. She nods slowly. We will watch you, she says. Same as anyone else. You start staring at fans or muttering nonsense. We quarantine you or put you down before you turn inside the room. That goes for all of us. No one argues. That is just how things are now. Carter turns back to the window. So what now? He asks. We cannot go back to the mall. Even if the echoes clear out eventually, those raiders will mark that place as theirs or burn it. We are short on meds. Devon might not make it far without real antibiotics. Evan is coughing like something is setting up in his chest. We have maybe 2 days of food between us. Mara rubs her face. We could raid the raiders, she says suddenly. Hit their base if we can find it. Take back what they stole. Devon laughs without humor. With what? He asks. 1.5 working guns, a ladder ghost, and 3 people who can barely stand. We would need better odds than that. Evan looks up, eyes red. We do not have good odds anywhere, he says. His voice has a rasp now. If we run away from every bad fight, we will just die slower. The discussion rattles around the room. Plans, half plans. Thoughts of heading for the highway and trying to flag down some remaining convoy. Dreams of a distant farm someone's uncle used to have. Ideas about finding a boat and hugging the river line. All of it runs into the same wall. No meds, no stable base. No trustworthy information about what lies beyond the next few miles. I listen and feel a strange thing at the edge of it all. Responsibility. Not in a grand way, just in a practical, immediate way. I altered their world. I pulled them out of the mall and into this room. That makes me part of whatever happens next, whether I want it or not. There is no going back to the role of silent watcher. The ceiling is behind me. The insulation dust is under my nails, but not around me anymore. I heard the raiders on the radio once, I say, before it went quiet. They called themselves something stupid. Road wardens. Said they had a checkpoint near the western overpass. That is probably where they sleep when they are not out doing this. If we wanted to hit their supply, that would be the place. I am not saying we should. I am saying that is the one bit of real information we have beyond this block. Hannah looks at me. You think we could catch them thin there? Maybe, I say, if most of them were on a run when we arrived. If we moved at night and used noise at our back to pull echoes away from where we need to cross. Dangerous does not mean impossible, just means any mistake will kill us. Carter's jaw tightens. I would not mind returning the favor, he says. Even if we do not wipe them out, snatching some supplies off their rack would help, and it might make them think twice before leaning on the next little outpost like ours. Devon shakes his head slowly. This is madness, he says. But staying here and hoping a perfect option walks through the door is worse. Mara looks at me with a mix of hatred and something else. You have maps in your head? She asks. And in my notebook, I say. Ed! Then you are not done paying for your little experiments, she says. You are going to help walk us through this whole area, street by street. You made us lab rats. Now you stay with the lab rats while we chew on the next problem. I will, I say. The answer feels strange, heavy and also clean. I am tired of ceilings that keep me half alive. If I am infected already, I would rather find out on the road with something still to do. Hannah nods. We rest here until night, she says. We clean wounds, eat what is left, and gather anything useful in this office. Then we move, quiet, fast toward the overpass. We look for the warden's nest. If we cannot hit it, we back off and find somewhere else to fall apart. If we can, we take what we can and run. Carter glances outside. Night means echoes move more, he says. Day does too now, she answers. We live in a world that hates quiet. There is no safe time. I sit down on the floor near a wall and pull my notebook from my pack. The pages are warped from humidity and spotted with graphite smears. Every line in it so far describes events from above. People seen through grates and heard through walls. Now I start a new page. I write, insurance office, street view, ground level. Same people, different angle. I am in it this time. My handwriting shakes a little, but the letters are clear enough. Out the window, smoke rises from the strip mall area in slow threads. The mall that was my whole world for months is turning into just another broken shape behind us. I put the pencil down and look at the others in the room. Hannah wrapping Devon's shoulder with the last of clean bandage. Mara sorting through drawers for anything sharp or useful. Carter watching the alley outside like it might turn on him. Evan staring at a single spot on the desk, probably thinking about the tickle in his lungs and what it means. I do not know how long any of us have. Days, weeks, one bad corner away from zero. The virus does not care about our plans. The echoes go where the sound goes. Humans do the same. Right now, in this small pocket of stale air and paper clutter, the only thing that feels real is the simple fact that I opened my mouth and stepped out of the ceiling. The rest we will write the hard way, one street at a time. And that's where we'll stop for now. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me how the story hit you, what moments worked, what didn't, and what you'd want to hear next. And a big thank you to everyone supporting the channel, especially with extra membership, Carlos Herrera, Dominique Johnson, The Great Anywho, Jade Allah, Madam Midnight, Deborah Powell, William Blackwell, TJR, Baby Doll. You keep this project alive. Until next time, Survivor. Jack's Nightmares signing off.